Hello and welcome to another episode, broadcast, I guess is a better word, of Breaking Borders and Shattering Paradigms. It is January the 7th. How are y'all doing? 7 days into the new year. I was actually just chatting with somebody last night. Yeah, last night talking about, I guess we were joking actually, the whole New Year's resolution thing. And we were saying it's so often it's the same thing, it's just the year changes. So 20, well, let's, you know what, I'm a little bit hot on my audio here. Just let me adjust this a sec. We'll just adjust this down a bit so we're not. Hello. There we go. Um, just the year changes. So it's 2018 is going to be my year. Going to do this and this and this and this. And then, of course, right about now, you see 2019, is going to be my year. And 2020 is going to be my year. 2021 is going to be my year. 2022 is going to be my year. And one of the things we were joking about was, or not joking, but talking about was neither one of us make New Year's resolutions because all your power is in this present moment. And when you think about it, you're saying this year, by definition, you're stretching out like 365 days, unless it's a leap year or something like that. And your resolutions, if you want to call it that, are really your desires, and your desires are always manifest in the present moment, which the second part of the show, when we talk about convergence, that's what it's about. The feminine energy is really about drawing us into the present moment, because that's where the power is. All right, having said all that, the 777 club portion, or the manifesting portion of the show, the title was, what did I call it? Your Spirit Doesn't Think. Well, I was thinking about this in the shower, actually. And often when Source communicates, sometimes it's like in a linear sentence, let's say. Other times it's almost like a chunk of information. It's like opening a package, right? You get this package and you open the package and you're kind of digging around in the package to see what it is that you've received. That's probably the majority of ways, especially for a lot of topics like this. And then once I open the package, then different details will be kind of filled in. And so and then often pictures, right? So geometrics, pictures will come with it. So it was your spirit doesn't think. So what does that mean? Okay, let's flip to the 777 Club free mini tip. Your spirit doesn't think. All right, let's flip over to Mr. Flip Chart. This is you. Oh, here, hold on. Let me do this. I'll throw it around. It was just this. So it's not clicking and clanking. So this is you. Whoops, hold on. Let's try this button. There. This is you, and this is your I am, which another word is your spirit, right? So you hear it, you guys have heard it 1,000 times. Oh, so it's still quiet. Isn't that interesting? I don't know. My volume it's pumping out pretty darn good. So I don't know why it's quiet at your end. I'll turn it up, but I'm scared I'm going to let's try it. I'm scared I'm going to start to distort, but we'll try that and see what happens. But thanks, Brandy, for tuning in and saying so. And we'll try this too, I bet. Although I don't want to redline it, but we'll give her a go. Okay. So you hear it said like 1,000 times: body, mind, spirit, body, mind, spirit, body, mind, spirit. So let's look at that. So of course, this is your spirit, and then you have a body, which is really tied in with convergence, which is the second portion of the show. So we'll get to that. And then there's your mind. And your mind is where you think. So your mind is out here. And this is where your thoughts are. Now, what we've done is You ever been in the summertime and there's a swarm of mosquitoes and they're like above your head? Where was that? In New Orleans, they have, what do they call them? Huh. I think they're cicadas. I think they call them locusts, is a kind of the common vernacular. But in the trees, especially at night, you can just hear them just buzzing. They're just clouds. You can't see them, but in the trees, they're just clouds, probably hundreds of thousands of them buzzing away. So you got this cloud of mosquitoes, and you can hear them, but you're not in them because they're up there, right? You can hear them above your head, but you're not in them. Well, and then there's those times where when you get stuck in in the cloud of mosquitoes, right? Now that's a whole different story, isn't it? So this is how this works. So this is where these damn clouds of mosquitoes are. And you guys know that often your thoughts are like a swarm of locusts, right? They're like these damn mosquitoes. And so often, rather than us observing and interacting with our mind, we start to kind of get caught up in it like that. And so now we're immersed in this cloud of mosquitoes. Now, it's a very different experience. Again, any of you guys that have had this, between the cloud up there and the cloud around you. But you see, this is what happens with our thoughts, because we've been conditioned to be logical, right? We've been conditioned to think through your decisions. We've been conditioned to analyze things with your thoughts, do your pros and cons list, do all that kind of stuff, all using your mind. Now, your mind is a handy tool, but your mind isn't you. And this is one of the things, this is probably one of the number one things that trip us up in so many ways. Because we get caught up in this swarm of mosquitoes called your thoughts for so long that, well, two things. First of all, we don't know how to get outside of them. And the second one, we start thinking that our thoughts are us, or our I am, our spirit, and we are our thoughts. So that separation, it starts to disappear. So then it's like this. And this is what Source was, I think this is, this is probably the number one challenge we all have, is managing your thoughts. The first step to managing your thoughts is getting the hell outside of them, which is really what the second portion of the show is, which is where the power with what I call convergence, or that feminine energy, is, because the feminine energy grounds you and puts you in your body. And what it also does is it takes you out of your thoughts. See, this is the power of this feminine energy, because so often, because we are so caught up in our thoughts. And again, our mind is a minefield. It's very powerful, but it's a minefield in so many respects. I tell you, we do more damage to ourselves with our mind and our thoughts than anybody else could ever do. And how to manage them? Well, the first thing you got to do is get outside of them. So stay tuned for the second portion of the show, because we'll talk about that. But understanding that your spirit, you right there, see, you right there, you don't think. Now, I know after I've said that, you go, I know a lot of people that must be really good at being outside of their thoughts, because they ain't thinking at all, right? And actually, there's some truth and value in that. The stupid people, right? And you go, yes, they're doing pretty darn good. They manifest this, they manifest that, they do this. Man, they're doing pretty good. So in a way, what they've done is they've actually managed to distance themselves from this. So in a crazy, cool kind of way, we could really learn from them. If we think too damn freaking much, and we get stuck within our thoughts. And this is what Source was saying, is that the you that's you, your I am, your soul, your spirit, doesn't think. So what does your spirit do as it relates to this? So one of the things your spirit does is it observes. right? It observes your thoughts. So it's not that it's not aware, right? Remember the mosquitoes up there. It's not that it's not aware of these thoughts that are going on, like a washing machine in the spin cycle, right? It's very aware of them, but it's observing them. Much like, I don't know, you use a fork. You use a fork to, eat your supper, right? There's the fork. You're aware the fork's there. You use the fork, but hopefully you're not doing this with the fork, which is what we do when we get stuck in our thoughts, right? And of course, the more you kind of try and get out of your thoughts by thinking, the more you get stuck in your thoughts. So your spirit observes your thoughts, but it's not part of them. This is one of the very powerful aspects of meditation. Again, topic for another discussion. But that meditative state that we could create allows us to get outside of your thoughts. You're still maybe aware of them, but you're not stuck in them. And again, the second portion of the show will talk about some really simple techniques to get outside of your thoughts using the feminine energy. So it observes. So it's the second thing that it does. It decides or chooses. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. It chooses. So it can observe its thoughts. But yeah, that's good. It can observe the thoughts that are going on over here. But your spirit makes its own decisions. Now, this is what's really important to remember. And again, I'm going to leave the whole geography of this. There's all sorts of other courses we've done on this about that. But just for now, your mind is very much a minefield in so many ways for a lot of reasons. It's very powerful, but it's also got all these potholes that you can fall into. You see, your spirit chooses independently of what your mind is telling you. So here's what I mean. Now, don't you crash on me. Watch this. Well, this must be, see, whenever there's something really important, some of the equipment will start to go haywire. It's the coolest thing ever. So your mind decides and chooses your spirit or your soul chooses independently of what your mind, its mind, is telling it. Because in your mind is where all the past programming lives. In your mind is all the programming that we've received growing up lives. Your mind is where societal beliefs live. Some that may serve you and a whole hell of a lot more that don't. And when you think about it, by definition, because you want to grow, expand, and evolve, when and if you continue to make decisions based on your mind, which says this is what's logical, this is what's appropriate, this is what isn't appropriate, this is what's crazy, this is what's reality, this is what isn't reality, all that kind of stuff, you're not going to grow, expand, and evolve, because by definition, growing, expanding, and evolve requires you to step into thinking, choosing to create thoughts. Hold on to that. Choosing to create thoughts that your mind just thinks it's crazy. So what do I mean by that? So your spirit creates, oh dear, there we go, creates thoughts. See, so your spirit, your soul, your higher self creates its thoughts. So this is where, think of it as imagining, right? Fantasizing, daydreaming, all those type of things. Now, what that is that's you here. Now, you're the one that's creating that, independent of this. And this is a handy little technique, because you see, the good news is you're not crazy. The voices in your head are real. The trick is to figure out which ones to listen to and which ones not to. So your mind is speaking to you. So those voices in your head, they're going to fall into two general categories. The voices that are speaking to you. So it's like a third person. Now, it may be your own voice, but it's like your mind is speaking to you. And what's cool is when you start to kind of just ask those questions, you'll start to be able to differentiate between the two, because there's a voices in your head, either your own voice or other actors and players in this whole scenario here, that are talking to you. Then there is your voice. I call that your I am voice. And so this is like speaking in the first person. So you're the one that's actually speaking. You see, that's the cool thing. This dialogue, this inner dialogue that you hear people talk about all the time, it really is a dialogue. There are two parties. There's you, your I am, and then there's your mind. So now this is really kind of trippy. So to have a dialogue, it requires two unique entities. So within your head right now, there's actually two entities. There is you, your I am voice, and then there's all these other ones talking to you. So you're actually having a conversation between you and your mind. Now, the trick is to remember who's the one that's supposed to be running the show. It's not your mind. It's you. You're the one that decides. You're the one that chooses. You're the one, I call it your I am voice. You're the one that declares. If you want to talk about affirmations, right? You're the one that's saying it. When you say it with your I am voice, it's creative and it's powerful. And when you're saying that from this present moment, which is what the second part of the show is, it is even more powerful, because all your power is in this present moment, not New Year's resolutions that you got 365 days to do whatever with. It's right now in this present moment. And the question, I'm going to wrap up with this. The question that I present to you is, which voice or voices are you going to listen to? Are you going to continue to be caught up in this maelstrom of all the other voices, all the other thoughts, all the other programming, all the things that people said you should and shouldn't do, can and couldn't do, all that kind of stuff? Are you going to continue to allow that to create for you? Or are you going to say, I am choosing, I am creating, I am believing, regardless of what your mind tells you? Your spirit doesn't think, it chooses, it decides, it creates. That was very powerful. Okay, so moving on to the convergence method part of the show. So the picture to this showed up about, I don't know, an hour before the broadcast. So I'll just actually make a new screen. Here we go. Hold on. So the feminine energy, the reemergence, as a transition said, of, oh, thanks, Brandy. That was very nice. The reemergence of the feminine energy is very much a feeling energy. I often call it a sensual energy. It's like five senses. You actually feel this energy happening. You don't think it, you feel it. And if you're watching this, because I clip these two sections out and then I upload them to YouTube and the wrestlertoe.com website, you can go to it there. I'll just put it in the comments here. Hold on. Go. There you go. This is a Facebook Live that I've pulled this from, so I just put this into the comments. There you can find the archives of the past show, podcasts of the show, and then clips. So I take the manifesting segment, conversion segment, and I pull the clips out. You'll just see it, and I upload them to YouTube and their playlists and all that cool stuff. We also have an app as well. I'll put the link to it in the wrestlertoe.com website, and I'll put the link here as well in a comment if you're watching this live on Facebook. Where was I going? Here we go. So the feminine energy, this is kind of interesting. The feminine energy doesn't think. Doesn't mean it's stupid, of course. But the feminine energy doesn't think, it feels. Masculine energy thinks. You see, this is why it's so powerful that there's that blending of the two and the exclusion of neither. Because the feminine energy is creative energy. Feminine energy wants to give form to something. And what's the something it's giving form to? It's the thoughts, it's the daydreams, it's the fantasies, it's all that kind of stuff. That's the framework that as the feminine energy is introduced or invited or enhanced, it gives form to that. So, what's so powerful about embracing the feminine energy flow is it puts you back in touch with your body and it pulls you out of your thoughts. So, I'll just give you a quick review here if you're just watching this segment. We'll just go back to this for a second. This is you. This is your spirit, your soul. This is your mind. This is your thoughts, right? And your spirit observes your thoughts, but it's not caught up in them. But so often we're caught up in our thoughts, so there's no differentiation. So that's what he talked about in the first portion of the show. Again, if you want to check it out, go to russelltoe.com, scroll down, you'll see that portion of it. Now, the feminine energy is all about the body part, the body portion of the mind, body, spirit. So hold on. This is you. And as I said, your I am, or your soul, or your spirit. And then this is your mind. Talked about that, which tends to be not this linear, but tends to be masculine. And then there is your body, which tends to be feminine. So convergence is about this. Convergence is about introducing that feminine energy and feeling it, right? Feeling that feminine energy in our body. So what does this do? When we're doing that, it draws us out of here. So I'll give you a really quick example. Something as simple as deep conscious breathing. Now, what do I mean by that? When you breathe, a nice deep breath, but really focus on the sensations that you're feeling in your body. The air as it flows in and out, right? Just feel, bring your focus to your body. What is your body feeling, right? And just really focus in on the sensations. Now, it doesn't matter what the sensations are, which we'll get to in a second here. What matters is you focus in on the sensations. Because if you're focusing on the sensations, two things are happening. They're kind of two parts of the same thing. What you're doing is you're bringing your focus into the present moment because your body's always present moment. And the second thing is, if you're focusing on this, you're not focusing on your damn mind and all the thoughts that are going on like crazy inside there. See, to manifest significant, profound, long-lasting change, it's been my experience, you need to get out of your mind. Because your mind is going to it tries to maintain the status quo, homeostasis. So it doesn't want anything to change. And because you're growing, evolving, and expanding, it doesn't like it. Now, it's not your enemy, although it can feel that way. But it doesn't want change. And so if you're trying to introduce change, well, you're stuck in the middle of it. It's going to be very, very difficult for this. So the first step is to get outside of it. Feminine energy flow, and we have exercises in the workshops and classes and things like this on how to really embrace that and stir that up. I'll maybe do a online thing or something like that here in a bit. But by doing that, it takes you out of there, right? So something as simple as breathing. Anything that creates or tunes you into what the sensations in your body are feeling, which is a kind of a neat segue into this picture that I received, again, about an hour before the broadcast. Oh, I'll use a different color. Okay. So I just received this. So I might receive some updates as I'm drawing it. So you think of this as, let's say, 0. So what this means, I'm going to use the word here. Peace, we could use the word observer. Is it this way? I don't know. Observer. So you're not really feeling anything, right? You're just in that very peaceful state. So then we have a line that goes like this. And this is, and I'm listening at the same time. Okay, this is sensations in your body. Okay, so it's sensations in your body, and it has a scale. So this 0 is here, right? And then it goes up. I'm going to put that in a different spot. So 0, and I'm just making up numbers, right? Let's say to 10. So this is intensity. Let me think. Let me see if I can do this better. This is intensity. That's really bad, but it works. So 0 is you're not feeling anything, right? And then as it goes up, the intensity or the depth, another word you could put, in the sensations of your body increase. So when you're focusing on your breath, you're really focusing in on your body. So as you focus in on your body, it's going to start to move up this scale, right? Now, the more you move up this scale, the more present moment you are. Well, this is good. Okay, the more present moment you are. And down here is thinking. Isn't that interesting, right? So this is your, oh, okay, hold on. Oh, I see, got it. Told you there'd be updates. So I think this will fit there. Another way of looking at this right here, right? Your I am, your mind, your body. So this is your I am, this is your body, this is your mind. All right. Now, as we tune into the sensations that our body is feeling, the greater the intensity, the more we're in the present moment. Now, isn't that interesting? I'm just kind of hearing this as you guys are. Now, here's the other thing that's really cool. What have I got for colors here? This is going to be pleasure. This is going to be pain. Okay, now this might seem a little bit out there. But pleasure is on this side and pain is on this side. Another way to look at it, they're really two aspects of the same thing. So what does that mean? That means that when you're feeling pleasure, you can also feel pain. But here's the other thing. If you're feeling pain, you can also feel pleasure. They're really intrinsically connected in a very powerful way. Now, I personally like this one a lot more than this one, but it's been my experience that you're going to experience both of them. And when you're growing, expanding, evolving, right, you're going to be feeling this. However, that also puts you in the neighborhood of feeling this. So in this really interesting way, whatever it is, as this increases, it brings you more and more into the present moment. So the more pleasure that you feel and the depth of that pleasure, the more you're out of here and the more you're here, which puts you in this very powerful creative state. You see, that's why as you're visualizing, as you're imagining, if you or as you create that pleasurable state, that sensual pleasurable state in your body, and then you do it, it's even more powerful. because you're even more in this present moment. And then, of course, the feminine energy is flowing through you, which is that's what creates. Right? Another way to think of it is the masculine is a recipe for something, but the feminine is all the ingredients and putting it together to actually create the damn thing. Right? The recipe looks really nice, but you can't eat it. Right? It's the feminine energy that creates the cake or the pie or whatever. And so the more you're into that, the more you're experiencing that, the more powerful the manifesting is. Now, having said that, this is also here too. And I think this is one of the reasons why, as we're growing and expanding and evolving, it is going to be a mix of this and this. And as I said, well, we don't necessarily have to like this. Understanding the power in it is what's important. And again, we could talk about this for a long time, but understanding as you're growing and expanding that you're probably going to experience both of them. But one is not the villain and one is not the hero. They are, again, are two aspects of the same thing. So if you're experiencing pain, right? And emotions are physical sensations, right? So let's say emotional pain. If you're experiencing those physical sensations in your body that are painful and they're a fairly high degree, know that just on the other side is that same depth and that same degree and that same intensity of pleasure. And so often we allow ourselves, mostly because we don't understand it, to get stuck in the pain and think that the more pain we're in, the further away we are from pleasure. But when you understand it this way, you understand that they're right on the same side. And fortunately, we don't have to do this and make that long journey. It can flip over from one to the other, back and forth, very simply and easily. No, very simply, not necessarily easily. And so I think what this does for me, my whole thing about warriors in training is a warrior doesn't go looking for a fight, but they're ready if one finds them. And yeah, in a perfect world, in a theoretical world, it's all roses and sunshine and things just go and away it goes. But it's my experience that's not the case. You're going to experience both of those. You don't go looking for it, but you understand that it's part of the process. And even pain has a purpose because it helps keep us in the present moment. And we can take the energy that creates the sensations that we've decided are pain and transmute that into pleasure, which again are a topic for another discussion. But the takeaway from this is, while pain isn't necessarily comfortable or something that we're looking for, it's not inherently bad. And it really does effectively bring us into the present moment, which is why the techniques that I teach in convergence is so powerful, because it helps us embrace and immerse ourselves in that feminine energy, which is sensual energy, and the pleasure that comes along with it, because it's such a powerful way of transmuting the same energy that creates the experience of pain and actually switching it over into pleasure, which is, again, topic for another show. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Let's see. I think that is just about it. GetRustleToe.com. I put it on the, you know what? If you are, just hold on a sec. If you're watching this on YouTube or something like that, I'm just going to do this. There you go. It's right there. There it is. There. RustleToe.com, which will give you the archives of the show. Oh, thanks, Brandy. I appreciate that. Yeah, it was really strong, really powerful. Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that. All right, kids. Share. We're all in this together. See you on the web.